And we're live.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is Kelsey from the Art of Living Retreat Center, located in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Boone, North Carolina. And I have a very special guest and conversation for you today. I would love to introduce you all to Matthew Wood, who is a renowned herbalist and teacher. He has around 45 years of experience in his field, and he's not only a seasoned healer, but he's also an intuitive teacher, blending ancient traditions with modern herbal knowledge. He holds a master's degree in herbal medicine from the University of Wales. Shout out to Wales, that's where my family is from.
Oh, wow.
Cool. And has authored more than 10 essential books in the field, including the Book of Herbal Wisdom and the Earthwise Herbals. He'll be leading a powerful retreat right here in the Blue Ridge Mountains at the Art of Living Retreat Center, July 17th through the 20th, called Shamanism and Herbalism, Teaching from Plant and Animal Medicine. And we're live right now for him to talk about his journey, the retreat, and how nature can guide us to healing.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Welcome.
Well, yeah, I'm in a coffee shop, so I hope that there's not interrupting background noise, but if there is, forgive us for that. I couldn't get home in time because we actually have tornado watches out here too, so it's all kind of exciting.
That's nature for you.
Yes, right. Ever changing.
Yeah. Well, we're so excited to welcome you to the center. We love your work and we appreciate you sharing your wisdom with the world so we can be more connected to nature and ourselves. And so I would love to ask you, especially those who are new to herbalism, new to you, and because you've been in the field for so long, what first drew you to healing through herbalism and shamanism? What is your story?
Well, let's see, about age 10 or 11, I was raised a Quaker. We went to Northern Half Yearly Meeting in Wausau, Wisconsin. And we had Sunday school up on top of the mountain. It's the only mountain in Wisconsin, Rib Mountain. And the Sunday school teacher, Francis Hull, he was a soil science professor. So he was involved in the earth sciences before there kind of was ecology and stuff like that. He was aware of it. And he was just jumping from rock to rock, and this joy came out of him as he taught our class. And I just got this feeling, nature is alive, nature is alive. And I knew it was true, and I knew I had to believe it, that it was a spiritual truth, so to speak. I knew it was a spiritual truth, and I had to believe it, or I would never know a truth again. And I feel like it was both a soul experience and a spiritual experience. The soul experience was that nature is alive is like the soul, the all soul, the soul of the earth, the soul of nature, which is also just the living nature, the life, the living nature, Mother Nature, etc. And then to know that that is true and to believe it, and it's like God's world, so to speak, this world of the spirit. To know that is to know a spiritual truth. So that was cool. And I was raised a Quaker, so you're always tending to your inner life, and I wasn't tending to it much at age 10 or 11, but it was actually, I do remember feeling like, oh, this is what they're talking about having an inner experience. And over the time after that, I realized we are all related, as the Indians would say, and have words for it. And therefore, if you hurt someone, it comes back to you because we're in the all soul. And that's really our resonance now and after the death of the body. So that was the beginning. And then age 13, I first read Teachings of Don Juan. The Earth came out 1967. And wow, I knew this was the truth and that I really had to kind of follow this path. Castaneda had edited it so heavily. I mean, he was such a Western trained person. He didn't really know what he'd stumbled on exactly, except that it was like gold. And so he edited it a lot out. And actually his later books are often like things that he'd edited up in the first ones, or experiences on deeper and deeper levels that, like in dream time and lucid dreaming, that he wasn't aware of, that began to elucidate. So it's kind of a weird, nobody else has ever written like that. But so that was 1967, and I knew plants have consciousness because they're part of the living nature. and they're reference points within that. And they're more reliable than human teachers, because we humans really are pretty chimerical, changing all the time, not knowing what we're up to. I always say now at this point, the human race is a mystery. We don't know where we came from or where we're going. Really, it's like a powerful thing, and we shouldn't make presumptions about that. And but plants, wherever they come from, they're sturdy. I remember we were doing a plant attunement in France about 15 years ago or 10 years ago, and I was tuning into a hawthorn, and this didn't really help me as an herbalist, but hawthorn said to me, "I'm taking lessons from the oak on how to be a tree." and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll check in with you in 200 million years from now. Which was kind of like, I wonder where I'll be then, It really gave perspective, because that's about as long as it takes for some to evolve in a major way, So, so I started studying herbalism maybe age 17, and I took botany at the University of Minnesota, field botany, where you go out in the field. So that was like herb walks, and it was a class that was for people who were going into education, for the outdoors. I guess you'd say naturalists. We didn't hardly even have words for that. That was 1972, 73, whatever. And you had to be teaching kids usually. I had no idea how valuable that would be, that I actually was getting a course on how to do an herb walk in a way. And really, I remember some of the things. Old Dr. Lawrence, he was really tuned. And just like Dr. Francis Hall from who taught me so much, on top of that Rib Mountain. So that was cool. And then, but I was 18, maybe at age 28, I got a job. Oh, then I got interested in astrology. I needed a language of energy patterns, and there was nothing else. Nobody really understood Chinese medicine at that point in history. And it was so what else? There was astrology. That's what, from Nicholas Culpeper, we kind of inherited. I can't say it's the most important that there is of any language of any language of energy patterns for plants, but it is. I'm going to have to go somewhere else. There's somebody talking on a phone here, and I just can't really handle it. I keep not even talking in English.
Change of scenery.
Yeah. I don't know if you could hear it, but it really is disturbing to me. Okay, and my concentration. All right, so
There goes the tornado warning.
Okay, well, I'll sit here until the glass starts flying. Okay. So we kind of have these things here too, not just you don't have a monopoly on it in North Carolina. Yeah. But let's see. So, well, this is really nature speaking, huh?
It's very fitting.
Yeah, right. So there's nature is alive, there's nature wisdom, and there's nature stalking us. Okay, so so from that class, that was cool. And then age 28, I just really so I studied astrology. I thought for a while I'd become an astrologer. That gave me a language. Then age 28, I got a job at the herb store. 29, and I was afraid to practice herbalism for the first year or so, because it was against the law, quote unquote. I mean, it was really hard on us back in those days. There was hardly any herbalists at all, and they really did send people to, well, at least they send them to court, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say it was a little better in New York and California, and the South were the only places where herbalism was kind of okay still, New York City. And because there's too much demand for it in Los Angeles and San Francisco, the Bay Area, and New York. So there still were herbalists there. And in the deep south, plenty of traditional people. But it was kind of, we started working in the herb store. I realized after a while the FDA didn't care about us that much because we seemed like little crazy little hippie herb store. Like,
You're harmless.
yeah, what they really don't like is where you seem really scientific and like this is based on science XYZ, and well, you're making a claim. Bad person, so I remember this very apathetic woman looking in the window just as I was opening the store, and I said, "Can I help you?" And she said, "Oh, I'm from the FDA. They make us check you guys out once a year." She, another time there was a guy, spit shine shoes, a prosthetic arm, and I figured he was a veteran, and he was looking, and I just thought, oh, FDA, because he was just so. He was in a suit. He was in a shirt and tie. And, wow, he found some decoconized coca leaf tea that we had, Inca Health Tea from Peru, and there the tornado has passed.
You're safe.
Wind and the rain have stopped. That's kind of weird. Yeah, it actually. Yeah, it's turning a little lighter. Yeah, so that made his day, his year, just about. And where'd you get this? What's going on? It had been off the market for about 3 years, but Bob, the owner of the store, ordered 35 boxes of cases because he knew it would be turning illegal. So they brought that out, and I mean, he took the one he found. The next day, Bob put another one up, and we had it for another couple of years. So, well, that was fun at the herb store in those old days. It was magical. The crazy things that would go on in the herb store. And in the early days of the kind of healing arts movement, when things were new and we were experiencing healing for the first time, I do remember, like, well, will it work? Will do herbs work? They'd been so beaten down, nobody really believed in them, even us ourselves. And we were like, when it first worked, it's like, oh, wow, it worked, and I mean, within 6 months, you've got confidence, but we didn't start with that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed very specific information to, can't use the word prescribe, to come to the right remedy. And that would be, so I got into homeopathy for a while. And then I found there was a specific tradition within herbal medicine and the eclectics. And so that was fine. So, and then I did learn energetics, both TCM and Ayurveda, and then the 6 tissue states, which are kind of in 19th century herbal medicine, and the physiomedicalists, and to a lesser extent the eclectics. And actually the 6 tissue states are actually still in neurology. They're actually, you go to a neurology book and you look up excitation, depression, constriction, torpor, relaxation. Those are all ways of describing, like if you were a doctor describing what you see on an MRI or something, or some test, especially with a neurological system, you tend to use those terms. So that's kind of my background. I'll say when I was 31, I was driving through Madison, Wisconsin, and I got a chance to see Dr. Francis Hole, who retired, and I met him at his house, and he said, "Yes, I learned so much from you that weekend." And he said, yes, it was a beautiful day. And it was. I could remember it. I still remember the leaves. It was fall. The leaves on the oak trees hadn't fallen off. And I didn't know what an oak tree was at that age, really. And he said, and I said how I taught herbalism, but underneath it was the wisdom of nature and the living nature, knowing nature is alive. And he said, you have chosen well. People crave to know that, be part of that living nature, but they don't know how to get there. You will always be in demand. I was like, holy cow, nobody but a Quaker elder would take that Quaker youth that they'd chosen well on such a weird path.
Oh, that's
I'd have to say, being an astrologer might have been a better choice at that time period.
well, he was right.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
So both I want to teach nature as a living being, which I think is a more and more common experience, and I feel that that's becoming part of the consciousness of many people. I remember even early 2000s, I had a student, she was so frustrated. She'd come to my classes. I know that you can feel that living nature. I want to feel that too. I don't know how to get there. And finally, she had a dream talking to the elder, which is actually kind of represents the mother, whether it's Mother Nature or the Queen of the Fairies, actually. And after that, she knew nature was alive, and she like
Wow.
settled into her thing. But I don't do like Shakti put or something like, which is dangerous anyways, like to hand on an experience. Yeah, you can receive an experience if you're ready for it and you recognize it in the teacher, but it's not a really good idea just to do it because you
Yeah.
trying to figure out. There we go.
So you're really just taking all these decades of
Yeah,
not only you intellectually learned and studied all of these herbs and traditions and nature, but you also experienced it yourself, which is so
yeah,
crucial. And so, what can you tell us about the retreat here in the Blue Ridge Mountains? People who are like, hey, this is my first time hearing of shamanism and herbalism, or maybe I've dabbled in it, or maybe their experience. Is this retreat for everyone? What can they expect jammed packed?
yeah. It is for everyone. It's shamanism as a spiritual path, and I believe, people say it kind of loosely, like they don't really mean it, but oh, there's a Bible in every bubbling brook, or nature is its own Bible, etc., etc. That is true, and it's a better Bible again because it's not humans not getting in the way of it.
Mhm.
And
No ego or opinions.
yes. The opinions of plants are not egotistical. Yeah, and so yes, plants are teachers. I wrote a book with that subtitle, Seven Earth Plants as Teachers, and my first couple books were striving towards that, to teach that each plant has a consciousness, a personality, and individuality that shines through everything that it does, through the physical level, or physical healing, mental, emotional healing, even to the spiritual. I can't really, I wouldn't say yeah, because it has an essence, it has a spirit, and it uh, manifests that. Um, it it helps that same quality in you. Just a sec here. It helps that same quality in you or me, both of us, all of us, to manifest. So that's really cool. And then in additional, I learned from one of my Indian mentors, Tismal Crow, who's no longer with us. Um, Herbs also manifest in a fifth way, like a fifth element, magical. They have magical uses, purposes, functions, like yarrow will protect you from sharp blades and things like that. Um,
Mm.
Agrimony is for righting injustices, like, or keeping yourself from being subjected to an injustice, like you put agrimony on legal papers or carry it with you or whatever. And so there'd be other. I don't use the ones Tismal taught some that were very traditional, and we would have in common Solomon's Seal, which is High John the Conqueror, and some people's. Not everybody would agree with that assignment, but I would. But and that just is a good luck plan. Get in the right place at the right time. So the herbs are powerful in that way that uh, they they can change our reality around us. What's going on? They can they can help us become who we should be, who we are. Really, they can move us ahead. I think a little bit through the immune system. They move the evolutionary needle, like viruses come to us whenever we're stressed, and they have new genes they bring us, and the genes help to um, stay with us. Like our genome is like 50% old viruses, and um, so they bring us new genes which help us evolve as well as an individual and as a species, and I feel right now we're evolving. We're in a great evolutionary moment, and part of it is to become aware, to merge with the planet, because it's time for that. So, and with the all soul. So it's shamanism as a spiritual path. Shamanism, we start with animism, nature is alive, and we move to the laws of nature principles, and we use those to evolve more and more, to become more conscious and more magical. And um, so so that also touches on the wisdom of nature, that there are principles, laws of nature, so to speak. I don't know how to. So there's laws of nature that are science, and then there's laws of nature that are metaphysical. And like the law of contraries and the law of similars in herbalism and in homeopathy, like treats like, or opposites also treat, by the way, hot to cold. Homeopathy doesn't like that, but we herbalists, we do use that. And it all is on the same plane of similarity, and opposition is actually um, all kind of the same. And and I talk about, so for healing principles that are also life principles, are like law of direction of cure, or as we get better from the inside to the outside, from our minds to our bodies, from our soul outward. And uh, law of the healing crisis. We go through a crisis like, am I nuts? Why did I, go to that herbalist? Or why am I nuts? Yeah. And then we begin to touch on, as we master those, we touch on things that are more like lucid dreaming, as we let go, as our consciousness, like we let go at night, we go into dream time, and we have to be able to like grab that dream by the tail before it gets away. Gotta learn to memorize it. So we both let go and grab hold and see, and we have vision and dream through that. And I would say shamanism really revolves around lucid dreaming. Oh, and it really revolves. The crucial thing about it is meeting your animal soul, which is your personal alter ego, the animal you always loved. She always knew you were like connected, but it never really said that until boom, you got the license in dream time. It spoke up. You realized, yeah, you merged with that animal. And usually nowadays people rule over their animal. In the old days, it was a little hard. Sometimes the animal ruled over them, which doesn't mean that like you're an animal per se, but you're not as human. And I don't worry about that much today. But people, watch in your dreams for that animal self to come, and that's really a transformative moment in time. I remember in the teachings of Don Juan, somewhere Don Juan says, well, it all amounts to one time when you're totally changed, you'll never be the same again. I was like, wait, I thought you believe in life goes back to normal. I believe in enlightenment. Aren't you changed forever? And yeah, you are changed forever, but you're also just the same. And that is, I'm quite sure, the meeting with the animal self. And there's also like meeting with the spirit being, which is even higher than the animals, more alien. That's what they call the fairies. They don't have bodies or souls, so they're magical beings completely. And that has something to do with the shamanic path. They're not totally safe beings either. I missed a conference. I just got an invitation to a fairy festival somewhere or the other, and I wrote and I said, well, next year maybe, but yeah, we're having our own fairy festival down there.
It's definitely fairyland up here as well.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
a world up here.
Yeah. I hung out in Mount Airy, which is not that far, but right on the Virginia, close to the Virginia line.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's beautiful.
yes, it is. The mountains of North Carolina are really rolling and beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really going deep. I mean, your retreat is covering all the different levels or almost dimensions and living things that Earth has to experience, from plant,
Yeah.
animals, dreamings, the unseen
Yes.
worlds, and
Yeah.
we're walking away with knowing how to heal with nature and with tools that already live within themselves and
Yeah.
for free, right? The
Well,
Earth is
yeah.
free, so
Yes, I mean, this is what's kind of funny is having been raised a Quaker, that emphasizes the inner life, the inner experience. And so that's what I always stick to, is that we we must develop ourselves, all our spiritual. Well, I'm a great believer in empiricism. That's experience based life, experience based science, experience based herbalism. So we verify it. Our license comes from experience, not from the test tube or the bell curve, the scientific study that still doesn't actually relate to real people. It relates to statistics of people. So, yeah. And we will definitely be talking about herbal medicine all through it, but I don't want to make that burdensome too. We'll talk about plants that are reference points for consciousness in different way. We'll talk about bear medicines, deer medicines, elk medicines, snake medicines, alligator medicines. And all these are in the traditions of the world, although they're saved more in Native American teachings maybe than in other areas. But like burdock, the Latin name means is arctium, of the bear. Whoa, and it's a bear medicine. Although here the Native Americans would say it's an elk medicine because antler-like, but there's strong. It has a brown, furry, oily root, which it's not furry actually, but brown, oily, and that's a bear medicine there. So, yeah, so that's how we think by correspondence, by signature. The doctrine of signatures, will definitely be talking about the doctrine of signatures all the time, and we'll be out there looking at signatures when we can at the plants and how they show what they're for, what their physical, mental, emotional lessons are. I mean, you can't understand it all at once. I say it takes hundreds of years to understand an herb. we're on the shoulders of predecessors, and they did a good job. But the wise women and the old physicians, the granny healers, it's our teachers. We appreciate tradition much more than the regular doctors and scientists too. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, I know it's a lot of digesting, and this is such a beautiful way to compact all of your wisdom and knowledge that you've learned over the last 45 years and make it accessible for people to be exposed to it in a weekend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should be great fun. I mean, and this subject, I mean, it's just really important always, but right now especially, but it's always important for that inner self development. So, and I hope, people raise their hands, ask questions, talk about their own experiences. I thought when I first started writing kind of the shamanic work more in the 21st century, although my first book, Seven Herbs, was kind of that theme too, but when it kind of came full circle to more developed, I thought, oh yeah, how is this rare? And I won't really be able to, people won't really know what I'm talking about. But I feel like more and more people are having these experiences. Nature is alive. Nature is wise. Maybe the animal self or animals and plants. Plants as teachers. Plants can communicate. So I think, and that reminds me when I was young too, and I felt, oh, this transition time coming up, which could be an apocalypse or it could just be a transition. I felt like herbalism will be important going through there because herbalism will, I don't know, I just knew it was part of the picture and that we weren't just some little sideshow. We were actually an important part of that transition and evolution.
Yeah.
And I truly think that. And I just am constantly seeing that in the work of other herbalists and teachings and books and stuff. And they just get more and more sophisticated and more attuned to the herbs as the years go by. When I was young, there was like 5 herb books, period, and they weren't very insightful those ways.
Well,
Yeah.
it was your dharma this whole time
Oh,
to
yeah.
provide more resources, and
Yeah.
especially where the world is headed and so much chaos is happening on the outside, people
Yeah.
are turning towards nature. They're more interested in
Yes.
healing on their own and
Yeah.
not steering away from Western medicine or healing. And so this is just a beautiful way an introduction to everyone to be their own healer and their own teacher.
Yeah, so I mean, we stand right on a precipice right now where they may be unfunding Medicaid, and I personally am kind of ambivalent about it. I feel that's unfair to the people that are on it, but well, it'll really help. They should be turning to alternatives, and they should have been doing that all along, because those drugs are just addictive with their side effects and destroying. I mean, the science is in that type of drug therapy is actually damaging to the body because it's the molecule to the lesion. It's not the whole picture. And now we know that the whole body reacts all at once. I'll talk a little bit about the extracellular matrix. So, you hit an acupuncture point, ouch. And yes, there we go again. You hit an acupuncture point and the whole, doesn't look as windy, but there's a warning out there. The whole body responds. The whole body is attuned. It's not just local cells right around the area. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's amazing, and we're so excited for you to offer all of this. I know our staff is so excited and is going to want to join in and learn everything from you. So for everyone ready for a transformative weekend of understanding plant journeys, stories, nature,
plant journeys. Yep.
Deep spiritual connection.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. July 17th through the 20th. You can sign up. We'll post a link below. You can also go to olrc.org/Matthew Wood. But I
couldn't hear that. I hope people could. You might want to say it again.
Here.
Say that again.
We'll have a link right here at the bottom for you that you can click on. That's super easy. Or you can go to aolrc.org/Matthew Wood. And yeah, super easy to sign up. You'll get to connect with Matthew and learn all of his wisdom. It's in the beautiful summer of Boone, which is a great time to be here, July 17th through the 20th. And it'll be an amazing time. You'll learn lifelong tools, and the community is incredible. Yeah. And we're so excited to welcome you, Matthew.
Yeah. Hopefully I won't die in the next minute after this.
I trust nature will guide you here safely.
Yes. These tornadoes. Wow. Okay. I'm probably safer here though than out in my vehicle, so I need to stay here for a while till the siren stops. Well, I've never done an interview during a storm siren going off.
There's a first for everything.
Yep. Okay, I guess we're done.
Yes. Thank you, Matthew, for your time, your energy, and for sharing more about this retreat. And we can't wait to welcome everyone listening here to the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yay. Good. Yay. We'll see ya. Bye.
Stay safe.
Yep. Stay sane? What?
Stay safe.
Well, I'll try to stay sane first. Bye.
Bye, everyone.